The clock on the wall of the modest gas station read 11:45 p.m. The neon sign outside buzzed faintly in the cool Missouri night, its light casting a soft glow on the empty stretch of highway beyond. In Springfield, where nights often passed in gentle silence and the only company the gas station stood as an unassuming beacon for weary travelers, the world outside was quiet, almost reflective, as if the late hour invited introspection and small acts of courage. Inside, the atmosphere was subdued yet purposeful. The station's interior, a combination of chipped linoleum floors and worn wooden counters, spoke of years of service without ostentation. A few scattered shelves displayed an assortment of snacks, soft drinks, and the occasional magazine. There was no ostentation here, only the honest rhythm of everyday life. And at the center of it all, behind the counter, worked Renee. Renee was a woman whose life was etched with both hardship and quiet determination. Her uniform, though faded from repeated washings and long shifts, fit her as a badge of honor. With a round, expectant belly that testified to the new life growing within her, she moved behind the counter with deliberate care. Every gesture was measured, every smile warm but tinged with a trace of fatigue. It was evident in the slight droop at the corners of her eyes and the soft sighs that accompanied her work. Small reminders that she was working late into the night, long past when most would have sought rest. She had seen many nights like this. Countless hours spent behind the counter, the soft clink of change, the rustle of snack packets being restocked, and the steady pulse of life outside. But tonight, something felt different. Even in the quiet solitude of the gas station, an undercurrent of possibility stirred. Just as Renee was busy arranging a box of gum on a dusty shelf, the soft sound of tires rolling on asphalt heralded the arrival of an unexpected visitor. A sleek Tesla pulled into the station's lot, its polished body gleaming under the neon glow. Out of the car stepped a man whose presence seemed almost surreal in such an unassuming place. Dressed casually in a comfortable hoodie and jeans, his relaxed gait and quiet confidence set him apart. There was something magnetic about him, a subtle energy that hinted at the extraordinary even amid the mundane. It was Elon Musk. In this quiet corner of Springfield, far from the flashing billboards and high-tech labs he was known for, he had come as just another traveler. Yet as he stepped from his car and looked toward the gas station, his eyes fell upon Renee, the lone worker behind the counter, a pregnant woman who labored with a mix of grace and weariness. Something in her presence, in the quiet determination etched on her face, captured his attention immediately. Elon walked into the gas station with measured steps. The worn tile underfoot and the soft murmur of the cooling fans provided a humble backdrop to what would become an extraordinary encounter. As he approached the counter, he caught the eye of Renee, who greeted him with the practiced cheerfulness of someone who had seen it all. "Welcome," she said, her tone warm despite the evident fatigue. "Anything I can help you with?" Elon offered a small nod and, glancing briefly at the name tag pinned to her faded uniform, noticed that she was called Renee. There was a gentleness in his eyes as he replied, "Long night," breaking the silence in a tone that was both conversational and sincere. Renee's lips curved in a tired smile. "Every night's long these days," she admitted softly, her voice laced with a resignation that spoke of long hours and endless bills. "But someone's got to do it, right?" Her words struck Elon. There was a quiet honesty in her admission, an acknowledgement of the daily struggles that often go unnoticed. As he stood there, sipping the bottle of water he had just purchased, he found himself drawn not only to the simple act of service, but to the story behind it, the story of a hard-working woman balancing responsibility, exhaustion, and hope. As Renee busied herself with another customer, a brief distraction that allowed the soft chime of the station door to punctuate the night, Elon found a moment to observe. He pretended to peruse a small rack of travel-sized toiletries, his eyes drifting toward the counter. His attention was caught by the gentle determination in Renee's expression. Even though she seemed tired, there was an undeniable strength there, a resilience that resonated deeply. Once the other customer departed, Renee returned to the counter. With a smile that didn't quite hide her fatigue, she asked, "Anything else I can get for you?" Elon hesitated for a moment before speaking. "You're working pretty hard for someone who's 7 months pregnant," he said softly, his tone conversational but laden with concern. At the sound of his question, Renee's eyes flickered briefly as her hand instinctively went to her rounded belly. "7 months," she replied, her voice steady yet edged with pride. "I keep thinking I'll slow down, but bills don't wait for anyone." A small, self-deprecating laugh escaped her, a laugh that hinted at both resilience and resignation. Elon leaned forward slightly, his eyes kind and genuinely curious. "Do you have family nearby to help?" he asked gently. Renee's expression clouded. "Not really," she confessed, her voice low. "It's just me and the baby's father, and he's not in the picture anymore." She paused, as if weighing how much to reveal. "But I'll be fine. I've always managed to figure things out." There was a quiet gravity in Elon's gaze as he considered her words. "What do you hope for after the baby comes?" he asked, his tone softening further, as if inviting her to share her dreams. Renee's eyes widened in surprise. For a long moment she searched for the right words. Finally, she spoke haltingly. I hope to give this little one a good life, a safe life. Maybe I can go back to school someday, get a degree, or even start a business of our own, you know?" Her voice trailed off as she spoke the dream aloud, a dream that seemed almost too fragile to be believed. Elon's gaze softened even more. "That's a lot to take on," he said, his voice a mixture of admiration and empathy. "But you've got guts. More people should have your drive." Renee's cheeks flushed, and she busied herself tidying a display of gum packets as if to hide her uncertainty. "Thanks, but drive only gets you so far," she murmured, a quiet laugh mingling with the bitterness of reality. Elon placed his empty water bottle gently on the counter. His next words, when they came, were deliberate, imbued with a hint of something that went beyond mere conversation. "What if I told you that sometimes, when the right person notices, it can take you a lot farther?" His tone was gentle, but carried the weight of someone who had seen possibilities where others saw obstacles. Renee blinked, caught off guard by the unexpected question. "That sounds nice in theory," she replied cautiously. "But life doesn't usually work like that." A small, knowing smile tugged at Elon's lips, a smile that suggested he might be the exception to her rule. For a long moment, silence settled between them as the soft hum of the gas pumps and the distant murmur of passing cars filled the air. Elon stepped outside briefly into the cool night air. Leaning against his car under the faint neon glow, he looked back at the gas station. Renee's words, "Drive only gets you so far," echoed in his mind. In that quiet moment, his thoughts swirled with possibilities that transcended the ordinary. Here was a woman who, despite exhaustion and hardship, was determined to forge a better future for herself and her unborn child. It was a story of resilience, and one that he knew deserved more than just a passing comment. He pulled his phone from his pocket and began to type a series of notes, ideas emerging rapidly. A blueprint for something larger, something that could help not only Renee but countless others who struggled in similar ways. His mind raced with ideas that transcended technology or grand innovations. This was about humanity, about giving hope where hope had seemed scarce. And then, as if the moment demanded it, He tucked his phone away and strode back into the gas station. Renee looked up as he re-entered, surprise flickering across her tired face. "Forgot something?" she asked lightly. Elon returned to the counter, his expression now resolute yet gentle. "Actually, I was thinking," he began slowly. "You mentioned you'd like to go back to school and maybe start your own business. What's stopping you aside from the bills?" Renee's eyes narrowed slightly as she considered his words. "It's everything, really," she replied. "Time, money, energy. It's not easy to juggle all of that on your own." Elon's gaze held hers steadily. "What if you didn't have to juggle it all at once?" he asked. "What if, for a while, you could focus on building your future without having to worry about everything else?" Her brow furrowed in uncertainty. "That's not exactly how the real world works," she said, a touch of skepticism in her tone. Reaching into his pocket, Elon pulled out a sleek black business card and slid it across the counter toward her. "Call this number tomorrow. Tell them Elon Musk sent you." His voice was firm yet warm, a promise wrapped in a few short words. Renee picked up the card slowly, her eyes tracing the bold letters and crisp print. "I don't understand," she murmured, uncertainty mingling with hope. "What is this?" "It's a way to make things a little easier," Elon replied softly. "I can help cover your expenses, enough for you to take some time off, have your baby, and plan your next steps. There are no strings attached." For a moment, the world seemed to pause as Renee stared at the card in her hand. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "Thank you." Elon nodded, offering a small, sincere smile before turning and walking out into the night. As his car disappeared down the highway, Renee clutched the card tightly, a tangible promise of a future that, until that moment, had seemed unreachable. The following morning, Renee sat alone at her small kitchen table. The early light filtered in through a modest window, casting soft shadows on the worn countertop. Before her lay the sleek business card, a small object that now carried immense meaning. Sleep had eluded her the night before as she replayed every word, every gesture from Elon's visit. Doubt had crept in. Was it too good to be true? Was this some elaborate trick? But the memory of Elon's calm, genuine tone silenced those doubts. Taking a deep breath, she dialed the number on the card. On the second ring, a professional voice answered. "Musk Foundation, how can I assist you?" With a tremor in her voice, Renee explained her situation and mentioned the encounter at the gas station the previous night. The assistant's tone shifted immediately, warm, empathetic, and reassuring. "Of course, Ms. Renee, Mr. Musk has informed us about you. Let me walk you through the next steps." By the end of the call, everything had changed. Not only would her immediate expenses be taken care of, but she was also offered a fully paid maternity leave, childcare support, and, even more unexpectedly, a scholarship for her to pursue her dream of going back to school. Tears streamed down Renee's face as the assistant explained the details. Every word felt like a lifeline, a confirmation that someone, somewhere, cared enough to intervene. Word of the generous offer spread quickly among the few employees at the gas station. When Renee shared the news with her manager, disbelief turned into celebration as the Musk Foundation's assistants began to arrive. Colleagues gathered around, congratulating her, sharing in her joy and relief. In the days and weeks that followed, Renee's world was transformed. For the first time in years, she no longer faced the impossible choice between making ends meet and pursuing her dreams. With the financial burden eased by the Musk Foundation, she enrolled in online classes to work toward a business degree. Evening study sessions replaced the long, anxious nights of worrying about bills. Even more, the newfound stability allowed her to focus on preparing for the arrival of her baby. a future filled with promise and opportunity rather than struggle and sacrifice. One afternoon, as she sat at her kitchen table reviewing her course material, Renee's thoughts drifted back to that late-night encounter. She remembered Elon's kind eyes and the gentle, unassuming manner in which he had spoken to her, a stark contrast to the harsh realities of everyday life. His words, "What if you didn't have to juggle it all at once," had planted a seed of hope that now blossomed into determination. Inspired by the support she had received, Renee began to see a future where she could not only provide for her child, but also build a life of dignity and opportunity. And then came the day when her journey took an even more unexpected turn. Later that week, Renee received a call from the Musk Foundation. "Mr. Musk has a request," the assistant explained. "He'd like to meet with you again to discuss a larger initiative inspired by your story. Are you open to it?" Although nervous at the thought of being thrust into the spotlight, Renee recognized this as a chance to help not just herself, but countless other women who faced similar struggles. Tentatively, she agreed. The meeting was arranged at a modest conference room in St. Louis, a far cry from the high-profile boardrooms one might associate with a billionaire, yet perfectly fitting for a conversation rooted in real-life challenges. When Renee entered the room, she was greeted by Elon Musk himself. His demeanor was unchanged, casual, sincere, and focused. As she took a seat, he began to speak, his words measured and imbued with conviction. "Renee," he began, "your story struck a chord with me, not only because of the strength you've shown, but because it represents the struggles of so many hardworking women out there who do everything on their own. I want to do more than just help you. I want to build a program that supports expectant mothers in low-income jobs, providing financial assistance, educational opportunities, and reliable child care. I envision a network, a community, where no one has to sacrifice their dreams just to survive." Renee listened, her heart pounding. The idea was both thrilling and intimidating, a chance to transform her personal challenges into a beacon of hope for others. "You want to use my story?" she asked softly. Elon nodded. "With your permission, yes. I want to feature your journey to show what's possible when someone receives the help they need. You can remain anonymous if you prefer, but your experience can be a catalyst for change. It's not about me or my company. It's about giving every woman the chance to thrive." Renee's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she considered the opportunity. Here was a man whose name was synonymous with bold innovation, now offering her the chance to create something lasting for herself and for women like her. I don't know what to say," she admitted, her voice trembling with emotion. "Just say yes if it feels right," Elon replied gently, "and together we can make sure that no one is left behind when it comes to opportunity and support." After a long pause filled with the weight of unspoken dreams, Renee nodded slowly. "Yes, let's do it." In the months that followed, the initiative launched with quiet fanfare at first, a pilot program in Missouri that offered comprehensive support to expectant mothers in low-income jobs. Renee's testimonial, shared with heartfelt honesty and protected anonymity, resonated deeply with those who heard it. News outlets picked up the story, and soon local media turned the spotlight on the program. What began as a personal lifeline soon transformed into a movement, inspiring community action and policy discussions about maternity leave, childcare, and affordable education. The Musk Foundation's involvement extended far beyond financial assistance. Mentorship programs were established, connecting women like Renee with professionals who could guide them toward fulfilling careers. Workshops, seminars, and community forums created spaces for these women to share their experiences, pool resources, and build networks of mutual support. Renee's own story, from working tirelessly at a gas station to having her future transformed by an unexpected act of kindness, became a symbol of what was possible when generosity met determination. For Renee, every day became a reminder of hope. She balanced her new responsibilities as a student with the demands of her personal life, all while preparing for the arrival of her baby. Her renewed spirit and determination began to rub off on those around her, and soon she found herself at the heart of a vibrant community of women who supported one another in the face of adversity. Back in Springfield, the gas station where it all began became something of a local landmark, a reminder that extraordinary change can start in the most unexpected places. The employees and regular customers spoke in hushed, awed tones about the night Elon Musk had walked in, about the pregnant worker whose strength had moved him so deeply that he had set in motion a chain of events that transformed lives. Stories spread through word of mouth, and over time, what had once been a quiet stop along a lonely highway became synonymous with hope and possibility. Renee's journey had a profound impact on the community. Local schools invited her to speak about her experiences, and community leaders used her story as a rallying cry for better workplace policies and more robust support systems for low-income families. In coffee shops and town halls, conversations turned to ideas of empowerment and the importance of investing in people, not just in technology or infrastructure, but in the very fabric of society. Ethan, the young boy who once saved every spare dollar for a simple birthday gift, now found his own dreams reignited by the wave of change that had swept through his town. Inspired by his mother's transformation and the new opportunities that had blossomed around them, he began to sketch ideas for innovative solutions to everyday problems. He wasn't sure if he would one day build something as grand as the affordable housing designs that had once danced in his imagination, but he knew one thing for certain. Every dream, no matter how small, had the power to change the world. At a celebratory event marking the first anniversary of the program's launch, community members gathered to honor the collective effort that had transformed lives. Renee, now a quiet yet unmistakable figure of resilience, took the stage before a crowd of grateful neighbors, local officials, and even a few prominent figures from the business community. In her address, she recounted the harrowing nights of uncertainty, the struggles to keep the lights on, and the overwhelming relief that came with receiving the help she never imagined possible. "Last night, at a small gas station, I was just doing my job," she began softly, her eyes shining with the reflection of the gathered hope. "I never dreamed that a simple act of kindness, a visit from a man I once thought was too big and too far removed from my world, could change everything. But that night, I learned that when someone believes in you, when they offer a hand without expecting anything in return, you begin to see that your dreams are not so far out of reach." Her words, spoken with raw sincerity, resonated with everyone present. Applause filled the room, echoing the sentiment that kindness, when shared, had the power to ignite a chain reaction of hope and change. For Renee, it was not just a personal victory, but a communal triumph, a demonstration that no one, regardless of their circumstances, should ever be left behind. Years later, the impact of that late-night encounter continued to ripple outward. The initiative, once a modest pilot program in Missouri, had grown into a nationwide network supporting thousands of working mothers. Policies shifted as legislators and corporate leaders took note of the success stories emerging from communities like Springfield. Renee's story, preserved in countless interviews, articles, and documentaries, became a symbol of the transformative power of compassion. Elon Musk, known for his groundbreaking work in technology and space exploration, had quietly maintained his commitment to the cause. Though his name was often associated with grand ventures, his personal intervention at that quiet gas station had become one of his most cherished contributions. a reminder that innovation was not only measured in rockets and electric cars, but in the simple acts of kindness that changed lives. For Renee, every day was a celebration of that change. As she balanced her studies with caring for her child, she also became a mentor in her own right, sharing her experiences with other women and reminding them that even in the face of overwhelming odds, hope could be kindled by the smallest spark. Her journey was a living testament to the truth that every person's story mattered, and that sometimes the most unbelievable turns in life began with a single, compassionate. And so, on quiet nights, when the neon lights of the gas station flickered against the dark sky, those who passed by would sometimes pause and remember the extraordinary night when Elon Musk walked in, and how a simple act of love and resilience transformed not just one life, but an entire community. If this story has moved you, let it serve as a reminder that no matter how hard the night, hope can always be found in the most unexpected places. Share this tale, spread its message of kindness, and remember that every act of generosity, however small, can change the world, one life at a time.